Chapter 31. Hubby, you're amazing. 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ch31 Hubby, you're amazing. 1. Zhou Peiyun originally planned on joining them for dinner, but who would have expected her to receive a call along the way? There were some problems with one of her actresses, Xiao Xian. She needed to rush back to the company to take a look. In the end, Wang Wenhao and Su Yaya went to dinner together. Wang Wenhao brought Su Yaya to a private restaurant. It was located in an unremarkable alley in the flourishing city. The restaurant was interesting and appealing, with tables, chairs, and utensils that all mimicked the ancient styles. The dishes in this private restaurant taste very good. I came here a couple of times. Yaya, you'll know after trying them out. You will definitely like this. Naturally, the owner of the private restaurant was acquainted with Wang Wenhao. As Wang Wenhao escorted Su Yaya to the entrance, the owner enthusiastically welcomed them along with his staff. They greeted Wang Wenhao and brought them to the private room behind. The two sat down and the owner had the waiter bring them tea. They then asked these guests what they wanted to eat. Wang Wenhao passed the menu to Su Yaya and asked for her opinion. Yaya, what do you want to eat? Order it. Su Yaya glanced at the menu and was shocked by the prices. They weren't eating food. They were basically eating money. What sort of prices are these? A picked tofu water spinach costs $55. She could buy a bunch of water spinach at the supermarket for just $2. Oh, what else? Minced pork with egg costs $85. Is the egg a dinosaur egg? And is this minced meat dinosaur meat? Su Yaya continued to flip through the menu, but the prices further behind were even more expensive. She didn't dare to order any dishes because it was way out of her expectations. While she was complaining internally about how expensive the dishes were, Wang Wenhao commented, "The food tastes delicious here and the prices are reasonable too. It's not expensive at all. After having a taste, you'll discover that the food is worth its price." Su Yaya glanced at him. How did he know that she thought the prices were too expensive? Could he read minds? Wang Wenhao obviously couldn't read minds. He watched as Su Yaya didn't order anything, so he thought that she didn't like the dishes because the prices were too cheap. That was why he said this. Su Yaya clearly misunderstood. But since she sat here, it didn't look good if she didn't order, so she chose two dishes that she liked. The dishes were slightly cheaper for her. Okay. Su Yaya placed the menu back. You're done. Wang Wenhao looked at her. Just order whatever you like. It's fine if you order a lot. Su Yaya laughed and said, I need to maintain my figure. Wang Wenhao observed her and said, you're not fat and in fact, you're quite skinny. You need to eat more. I'm going to film an advertisement tomorrow and I will have to eat a lot of white rabbit candies. I will be gaining weight for sure. In order to look good on camera, I need to restrain myself. Su Yaya found a very suitable excuse. That was the truth. Celebrities tried their best to maintain their figures so they would look good in front of the camera. Wang Wenhao understood this, so he didn't force Su Yaya. He ordered a few more dishes himself, then handed the menu to the waiter. While waiting for the dishes, Wang Wenhao and Su Yaya started chatting about their memories. When we were in elementary school, you were the literature and art committee member and the most beautiful girl. You were great at singing, dancing, and everything else. Everyone liked you. At that time, I sat behind you. Every day, I would look at your ponytail and I would tug on it sometimes. Do you still remember this? Su Yaya was speechless. To speak the truth, she didn't remember. The original host didn't leave this portion of the memory for her either. The original host was a beautiful person and there were many people who liked her in school. Some guys were naughty and wanted to attract her attention, like tugging on her hair, teasing her, and pulling pranks. There were others who wanted to please her by buying things for her. This happened frequently and there were many who were good to her. She obviously can't remember everyone and Wang Wenhao was clearly one of the people who she didn't remember. Seeing that she didn't react, Wang Wenhao was a bit upset. So you really don't remember this? Ah, did I have a bad memory? Su Yaya found an excuse and said, you know, almost a decade had passed. Right. After all, I transferred after I finished 6th grade. After separating for so many years, it was normal that you couldn't remember. Wang Wenhao said this, wanting to save himself some embarrassment. The dishes quickly came up. Su Yaya looked at the dishes on the table. It was all the food that she liked. She couldn't help but be stunned. These are all the dishes that you like. Eat more. Wang Wenhao said. Meeting his gaze, Su Yaya was a bit frightened. She remembered that she only ordered 2 dishes and that Wang Wenhao ordered the rest. This meant that he remembered what she liked to eat. He really knows how to flirt with her. If this man really took her to be elementary classmates, why would he say such ambiguous words to her? Why would he order dishes that she liked? What motives did he have? Chapter 32. Hubby, you're amazing. 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 32. Hubby, you're amazing. 2. Because she was suspicious of Wang Wenhao, Su Yaya wasn't at ease while eating. Facing the dishes that she enjoyed eating, she wasn't able to taste anything in her mouth. She ate a bit of everything then used the excuse that she needed to maintain her figure. Seeing that she stopped eating, Wang Wenhao didn't have the appetite to continue eating either. He placed his chopsticks down. Su Yenny saw this and hurriedly said, you can continue to eat. If we don't finish it, we will be wasting food. I just stopped eating because I need to lose weight. They had spent so much money but only ate a bit. They're really wasting money. Wang Wenhao laughed and said, there's no worries. After all, I ate here a couple of times already. If you can't finish it, then don't eat it. Okay. Those are wealthy people's thoughts. Since he had said this, Su Yaya couldn't really say anything else. I want to go back. Su Yaya felt it was awkward being with Wang Wenhao. It was mainly him. He seemed to have other motives around her but he didn't state it explicitly. She didn't think much about it either. It's safer if she was away from him. She knew that some men just like to flirt with women naturally. Maybe he just wanted to tease and play with her, yet she didn't want to play with him. After all, she had a husband, even if it's by contract. She had transmigrated and found a husband beside her, but Chen Xiuqi was scarier than Wang Wenhao. Although Chen Xiuqi may seem warm and harmless when he pampered her, if he were to discover that she made a cuckold, he will definitely skin her alive. The original book talked about the methods he used against the original host. Such methods were enough to make people wish they were dead. Su Yaya was a coward so didn't dare to go over her boundaries, nor did she have the courage to. She wanted to stay alive and earn enough money to return to her hometown. That way, she could plant crops and enjoy her time. When Wang Wenhao heard Su Yaya's intentions to leave, he offered to bring her back. Su Yaya rejected and said she will be going to her boyfriend's place. Wang Wenhao was stunned by this. He slightly squinted his red phoenix eyes and said, you have a boyfriend? Yes. Su Yaya answered quickly, her voice clear and pleasant as though speaking of her boyfriend made her happy. Actually, the boyfriend she was referring to was Chen Xiuqi. Because the original host and Chen Xiuqi had married by contract and didn't hold a wedding, no one else knew about them except a few important people in the Chen family. Chen Xiuqi said that if other people asked about them, she was to say that they were a couple, which is why Su Yaya had said this. Of course she said this now to get rid of Wang Wenhao so that he would stop flirting with her. Thankfully, this idea was effective. After Wang Wenhao heard that she had a boyfriend, he wasn't as enthusiastic. He didn't persist on bringing her home but he accompanied her out of the private restaurant. The man watched as she got in the car, and only when her car disappeared into the distance did he get in his own car. After Su Yaya arrived home, she was restless at the thought of Wang Wenhao. Thankfully, she was smart enough to say that she had a boyfriend, so he knew what was best for him. Half of this had to do with Chen Xiuqi. When her husband came to mind, she wondered how he was doing in S-City. Her original intention was to please Chen Xiuqi and strengthen their relationship, so it was necessary for her to ask how he was. It was also a chance to gain a favorable impression. Su Yaya decided to call Chen Xiuqi, but he didn't pick up. She thought that he was definitely busy, so she stopped calling him and took her clothes in to shower. Once she came out, she got 3 missed calls. It was all from Chen Xiuqi. Su Yaya hurriedly called him back. "Why did you call me?" When the call connected, Chen Xiuqi's tired voice rang. He seemed to be still busy. Su Yaya said, "Hubby, I got an advertisement with a pay of 350,000. I'm so happy. I wanted to share my happiness with you." Chen Xiuqi chuckled softly. She was so happy at earning such little money and wanted to share this with him. Who knew how many times more money he earned than her? Wouldn't she end up fainting from happiness? "Do you know how much money the project I just settled with someone is worth?" Chen Xiuqi asked in his low and deep voice. "How much?" As expected, Su Yaya asked in curiosity. Chen Xiuqi laughed since he was in a pretty good mood. He said happily, "More than 3.5 billion. Completely stunned at this shocking number, Su Yaya was unable to react for a moment. Then, she started to scream ecstatically. Her delightful voice was filled with admiration for him as she gleefully praised, "Whoa, hubby, you're amazing. You're outstanding." Chen Xiuqi didn't think that she was being too talkative when he heard her screaming and yelling through the phone. Instead, he was quite pleased. The fatigue from negotiating this project immediately vanished. Chapter 33. She has talent for acting. 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 33. She has talent for acting. 1. Su Yaya rested for a day at home and prepared for the White Rabbit candy advertisement she had to film tomorrow. She didn't have a lot of filming experiences. In order to learn, she searched up advertisements filmed by celebrities on the internet, whether it be White Rabbit candy, jello, chocolate, or cake, as long as it was related to food. She paid close attention to their actions, expressions, and looks. Afterwards, she tried to mimic them. However, one must admit that she was great at imitating these celebrities. Her expressions, actions, and gaze were about the same as the others. It could even be said that she did a better job than them. Su Yaya soon realized that she had a natural talent in acting. Whatever she wanted to act, as long as she tried a couple of times, she was able to replicate it perfectly. She also added in her interpretation, so whatever she tried to act, it looked exactly like it. Su Yaya knew that this didn't belong to her talent. This was probably an instinct left behind by the original host. She was able to enter the entertainment circle not only because she was beautiful, but also because she had a natural talent in acting. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to obtain the second female lead role in Pamper Before Marriage if not for her superb acting that made her stand out under intense competition. After all, she was just an ordinary newbie. With the original host's acting talent and Su Yaya's hard work, after only a day of learning and analyzing, she had a certain preparation and understanding for the White Rabbit candy advertisement for tomorrow. The advertisement time begins filming the next day at 10 in the morning. Zhou Peiyun went to pick her up at 9 in the morning before driving her over to the filming studio. By the time they arrived, it wasn't even 10 yet. The other staff members were preparing the site. Zhou Peiyun brought Su Yaya to see the photographer, but who would have guessed that Vice President Huang would be there as well. When Vice President Huang saw them, he looked at the time and smiled insincerely. "You guys came on time." "Of course. We need to be on time for work." Su Yaya replied, indicating that she will take her work seriously. She was always like this. She was the kind of person who worked hard and made sure she did her best in her work without ever resorting to tricks or cutting corners. Upon hearing her words, Vice President Huang revealed a faint smile. Will she resort to tricks and cut corners or will she not? Will she take her job seriously or not? They'll find out later. After they greeted Vice President Huang and the photographer, Zhou Peiyun brought Su Yaya to the dressing room to apply makeup. Su Yaya had really delicate, soft, and moist skin. Her complexion was tender like a baby's, without a single flaw. When the makeup artist saw her skin, she praised her endlessly and complimented how soft her skin was. Miss Su's skin is very good. I can't even see hair on it and it's very smooth and soft. I am so jealous of you. How do you take care of your skin? Su Yaya smiled and said, does it count if I am naturally beautiful? She said the truth. Her body was naturally beautiful. Although the original host spent a lot of money in taking care of her body, she had a great foundation. That was why she was able to maintain her smooth and delicate skin like a baby's. But, in the makeup artist's ears, she didn't think that. She felt like she was overly confident but her skin was indeed good. She had the ability to be proud and confident. She couldn't retort. The makeup artist believed that this woman was straightforward and cute. So was it good or not for someone like her to enter the entertainment circle? After quickly applying makeup on her, they proceeded to filming. However, a staff member suddenly ran over and informed Su Yaya that there were problems at the filming studio. A piece of equipment unexpectedly broke so they needed to go and buy a new one. For now, they could only ask her wait patiently. Chapter 34. She has talent for acting, too. You are listening at novelfull.audio. ch34. She has talent for acting, too. As she thought of how staff members had their own difficulties and how they were all doing this for their work, Su Yaya decided to wait. After all, she only needed to film this advertisement for today and she didn't have any other anxious matters. Su Yaya replied to the staff member, you guys can go ahead. You don't need to worry about me. I can wait. Thank you, thank you. The staff member thanked her and hurriedly left. The makeup artist had other work to do as well so she left after packing up her makeup box. There was only Su Yaya left in the dressing room. Zhou Peiyun had not yet finished handling the matter with her artiste, Xiao Xian. The phone call she had received earlier was a bit serious. After informing Su Yaya about it, she hurried over to check out Xiao Xian. Su Yaya sat in the dressing room by herself. She took out her phone and started to play a game called Fruit Smash, which she had downloaded just yesterday. That night, she won quite a bit of rounds. Of course, it got more and more difficult as the levels increased. She eventually got stuck on level 72, where she tried hard to analyze how to surpass her current level. Time flew as she played the game. Without paying attention, almost 2 hours passed. At first, Su Yaya thought she wouldn't have to wait that long for the staff members, but the time on her phone indicated it was almost 1 in the afternoon. Su Yaya had the habit of napping in the afternoon, so she couldn't help but yawn. But looking at how late it was, she wondered why the staff members didn't come to call her to film. She put her phone away and walked out of the dressing room to look for a staff member and ask about the situation. There was no one in the hallway. It was very quiet. As Su Yaya passed a staff room, she heard voices inside, which caused her to stop on her tracks. Just as she was about to knock on the door to inquire, she heard Vice President Huang's voice from inside. That Su Yaya doesn't know the rules at all. I'll let her see who is in charge today. Right after, there was another voice. But it isn't suitable to keep her waiting in the dressing room. It's almost 1 in the afternoon. If we don't arrange for her to film, we probably will have to wait until tonight. It's good that she will film tonight. Vice President Huang said with a hint of vulgarity in his voice. We can have her join us for some midnight snacks. After that, we can go to the hotel and rent a room. She has a nice figure and a curvy and smooth butt. Her waist is slender and she looks quite charming. Just looking at her, I can tell that she's good at serving people. Yesterday, she accompanied Wang Wenhao, so today, it should be my turn. Su Yaya, who stood outside the door, had heard their words clearly. She held her phone in her hand and looked at the screen. Afterwards, she smiled and knocked on the door. Who is it? Su Yaya stood outside and remained silent. She knocked on the door again. The two people in the room waited a bit but failed to get a response. They turned to each other and Vice President Huang gave the man a meaningful look. The man nodded his head in affirmation and proceeded to open the door. Su Yaya held her phone outside and leaned against the door. She smiled mockingly at the two men before pressing a button on her cell phone and Vice President Huang's voice resounded from the recording. It's good that she will film tonight. We can have her join us for some midnight snacks. After that, we can go to the hotel and rent a room. What do you want to do? Once Vice President Huang heard the recording, his expression changed. Chapter 35. She has talent for acting. 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ch35. She has talent for acting. 3. What do you want to do? Once Vice President Huang heard the recording, his expression changed. He angrily rushed over, trying to grab Su Yaya's phone. She moved a step back and quickly said, I already sent a copy of the recording to my manager. If you dare to touch me, I promise you that you will end up bankrupt and homeless. Vice President Huang, who was on the verge of exploding, successfully stopped his footsteps after hearing this. He stared at her in an unfriendly way. What do you want? Su Yaya raised her eyebrows. I should be the one asking Vice President Huang what you want to do. I'm just an artiste and I just want to complete my work and leave after I get paid. Why must you make things difficult for me? You probably don't want me to send the recording to your wife and President Wang, right? Okay, you're good. Vice President Huang clenched his teeth and said. Film. We'll film right now. After that, scram after you get your money. Su Yaya waved the phone in her hand and she smiled. Sorry for troubling Vice President Huang then. Because Su Yaya had information against him, Vice President Huang didn't dare to do anything. The filming process was very successful and Su Yaya did an amazing job as well. However, the photographer had high standards. He wasn't satisfied and had her film again, and then again. She ended up filming this multiple times. The first time she filmed this, she was quite happy to eat the white rabbit. She had a natural smile and didn't need to act to portray how delicious the white rabbit tasted. But after she filmed multiple times, she had eaten too much white rabbit. She tasted the white rabbit in her stomach and in her mouth. It was too greasy. The muscle on her face became stiff from smiling as well. She posed according to the photographer numbly. In order to film the advertisement, she was basically using her acting to support this. After filming for a few more hours, who knew that the photographer liked the first one the most when they completed filming? He decided to use that one. Su Yaya complained in her heart. Since the first was good enough, why did she have to film so many times? And he had made her eat so many white rabbits. It was so greasy. After the filming was complete, Su Yaya chugged down water and finished half a bottle in one gulp. This suppressed the sweetness in her mouth. Wang Wenhao came at this time. Seeing that the filming was done, he came over to congratulate. Then, he represented the company and gifted her 2 boxes of white rabbits as gift. This was the usual courtesy, so Su Yaya couldn't reject it either. Although she ate too many white rabbits today, she could bring it home for other people to eat. Wang Wenhao continued to say, let's go out to eat today and celebrate this. Su Yaya rejected politely. I'm very sorry, I already made an appointment with someone else. It's also for work. Wang Wenhao could tell that she rejected him. He glanced at Su Yaya with his red phoenix eyes and revealed a bitter smile. It's hard to pursue a beautiful woman. Then let's do it another time. Su Yaya didn't reply. She went to chat with the staff members and then said goodbye to Wang Wenhao. Then she got in her car and left. On the way back, she passed by a supermarket. Su Yaya recalled the empty fridge in her house and stopped the car. After putting on her sunglasses, she got out of the car and went to buy some food and daily items. When she carried the food to the cashier counter to check out, Su Yaya noticed a finance magazine on the side. The cover had Chen Xiuqi wearing a gray suit with a tie on. He sat on the black leather sofa with folded arms and a look of certainty, just like a business elite. She couldn't shift her gaze from him. Feeling touched in her heart, Su Yaya took the magazine and added it to the list of items she was checking out at the counter. After she got in her car, she took out her phone and messaged Chen Xiuqi. "Hubby, you're so handsome. Love you. JPG." Chapter 36. A Big Surprise. 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ch36. A big surprise. 1. Chen Xiuqi didn't respond to her call, so his phone must be off at this time. At this thought, Su Yaya pursed her lips and gave up. After driving home, she placed the business magazine and the white rabbit candies that Wang Wenhao gave her on top of the table. She then organized the food and items she bought from the grocery store, distributing some of the items in the refrigerator and placing others in the kitchen within their designated places. Once she finished, she heard the phone ring. Su Yaya opened her bag and took out her phone. Upon seeing Chen Xiuqi's name on the screen, she hurriedly answered it. "Hubby," she sweetly called. Her natural way of affectionately calling him showed that she was completely used to Chen Xiuqi. This probably had to do with her natural acting talent. Chen Xiuqi said, "I just got off the plane, so I will be home in about half an hour." BL.net. At his words, Su Yaya replied with surprise, "How are you so quick? Didn't you say that you won't be home until tonight?" She thought that he would be returning at 9 or 10 p.m. in the evening at the latest. "It's nighttime now." Chen Xiuqi laughed and said, "It's already 7 at night." "Okay. 7 p.m. was also night time." Chen Xiuqi was right. "Was the filming successful today?" Chen Xiuqi asked. "It was pretty good." Su Yaya responded, not planning on telling him about Vice President Huang. After all, she was done filming it and she had solved the problem. They won't see each other in the future, so it's best to avoid unnecessary trouble. The two chatted for a bit. Then, Chen Xiuqi said, "I received your message." Su Yaya laughed softly. "I'm going to hang up now." Su Yaya blinked her eyes. Why is he hanging up so quickly? She looked down at the black screen and smiled. Earlier that afternoon, Su Yaya had eaten too many white rabbits, so her stomach now felt greasy. At this moment, she just wanted to drink some porridge. Su Yaya placed her phone down and walked into the kitchen. She took out the rice she bought and ladled out half a bowl of rice, after which she prepared some minced corn and mixed it into her bowl. She held the bowl containing the uncooked rice and corn and rinsed its contents. Afterwards, she placed it into the pot, added some more clean water, and turned the fire on to a moderate amount in order to boil the corn porridge. While the corn porridge was cooking, Su Yaya made a cucumber salad. She added some salt to marinate the vegetables. Since she couldn't stand spicy food, she simply added light soy sauce, minced garlic, and chicken bouillon powder for seasoning. If she was simply cooking for herself, the serving size was already enough for her. Having cucumber salad with corn porridge was quite tasty. However, she knew that Chen Xiuqi would be arriving home soon, and he probably had not eaten yet at this time. At most, he just had a meal on the airplane. However, Chen Xiuqi was picky. How could he like the meal on the airplane? He probably didn't eat much. At this thought, she decided to cook another dish, stir-fried green pepper with lean meat. Su Yaya took out the newly bought green pepper from the refrigerator and got rid of the seeds. She then washed it and chopped it to shreds. Afterwards, she took out the lean meat she bought today and washed it, chopping it to shreds as well. Su Yaya turned the fire on high and poured a bit of oil in the pan. Once the oil was warm, she placed the garlic grains into the pan and stir-fried it. She placed the lean meat in there as well and fried it until its color changed before adding the chopped green pepper. Su Yaya stir-fried all of these ingredients for a minute or two before seasoning the dish with light soy sauce and chicken bouillon powder. Now, a delicious dish of stir-fried green pepper with lean meat was complete. When Chinchochi arrived at home and changed his shoes, the very first thing he noticed was the magazine on the table. The cover was himself wearing a gray suit, sitting on the black leather sofa and talking with the host. He was the typical business elite. Chapter 37. A big surprise, 2, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Ch37. A big surprise, 2, this was the interview last week for the finance magazine. Every month, Chinchochi would accept 1 or 2 interviews. The questions were basically the same so he could even memorize them. However, he was surprised that Su Yaya would actually buy a magazine that featured him, and couldn't help but feel delighted. Chinchochi recalled how obedient she had been and how she tried to please him every day. She probably fell deeply in love with him. He subconsciously smiled at this thought. Not everyone was as outstanding as him. Chinchochi shifted his gaze to the side where 2 boxes of White Rabbit candy caught his eye. It wasn't from a famous brand but it looked appealing to him. According to his usual habit, he didn't like to eat sweets. He didn't know what was wrong with him today since he actually opened the box and placed a White Rabbit candy in his mouth. The smell and sweetness was just right. The flavor stayed in his mouth and was actually delicious. As Su Yaya brought the corn porridge and cucumber salad out from the kitchen, she noticed Chinchochi standing by the table and eating a second White Rabbit. You're back. Chinchochi didn't know that he would be caught eating a White Rabbit. He murmured in his heart and pretended to act proper on the surface. The man expressionlessly said, yes, I just got off the plane so I'm feeling a bit hungry. Su Yaya guessed that he ate the White Rabbit candies out of hunger because he hadn't eaten anything earlier. She nodded in understanding. If you're hungry, come and eat. I made some corn porridge and a cucumber salad as well as stir-fried green pepper with lean meat, she said. I think it should taste pretty good. The white and yellow corn porridge, along with the fresh, green cucumber salad aroused Chinchochi's appetite. He felt like he was about to drool. Based on his memory of her, his wife had never cooked before. In the past, Su Yaya said that she will, but he thought that she was simply saying this without truly meaning it. He wondered if the food she cooked was even edible. But looking at the corn porridge and the cucumber salad on the table, it looked pretty good. But how would it taste? He decided to give it a try. Su Yaya went to the kitchen and came out with another bowl of corn porridge. She also brought the stir-fried green pepper with lean meat out. The couple sat down by the dining table, and Su Yaya passed a pair of chopsticks to Chinchochi. Let me try out your cooking. Chinchochi smiled and placed a piece of cucumber in his mouth. Crunch, crunch. It was crispy and fresh. A pure cucumber taste spread through his mouth that was exceptionally tasty. It was even better than when Aunt Lu cooked it. When he was doing business discussions abroad, every meal he had was accompanied with meat, fish, and some alcohol. Now that he suddenly tried out this crisp and fresh cucumber salad, he felt that the taste was delicious. Chinchochi couldn't help but eat a few more. It tastes very good, right? Su Yaya smiled. She was confident with her cooking skills. Chinchochi nodded his head. It does taste pretty good. Then eat some more. She was happy that he liked it. She had successfully pleased him, right? Shinshochi thought the cucumber salad was tasty and crispy and felt as if he had never eaten such a delicious cucumber salad. He ended up having 2 bowls of corn porridge on the side as well. Yet compared to his servings, Suyaya simply ate 1 bowl and half a bowl of cucumber salad. Most of it went into Shinshochi's stomach. After they finished, Suyaya cleaned up the bowls and brought it to the kitchen to wash. On the other hand, Shinshochi went to his study to handle work. When Suyaya finished washing the dishes, she glanced at the glowing lights in the study where she could faintly hear Shinshochi speaking. He was probably in a video conference with others. Suyaya quietly went to her bedroom and took out her clothes from the drawer to shower. Chapter 38. A Big Surprise, 3, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Ch38. A Big Surprise, 3, Suyaya took a nice warm shower and washed her hair. When she was cooking, the smell of soot caught onto her hair. After she was done with her shower, she felt fresh and clean. Suyaya's wet, jet-black hair was scattered on her neck and back. Under the light, it was bright and flickering. She paid careful attention to wiping her hair with the towel until it was about half dry. Afterwards, she took care of her skin by carefully applying a layer of body lotion, which made her skin glossy, smooth, and delicate. When she was done taking care of her body, she put on a face mask and patted some essential oils on herself. She also applied eye cream and many other kinds of products, all of which took quite some time. Shinshochi came out of his study and stopped by the door, where he watched Suyaya put on a variety of skincare products. He didn't understand why women like to do this. Didn't their face feel weird from being layered over with so many things? When Suyaya finished, she turned around and noticed Shinshochi. How long had he been standing there for? She smiled at him and said, "Why are you standing there?" Shinshochi stared at her and walked over. He reached out and touched her face. It was indeed glossy and smooth, just like an egg white that was peeled from the egg. He didn't want to let go of her face. It seems that a woman's thoughtful care of her face was quite effective. "You're beautiful today," he complimented. Suyaya looked up at him with a smile and asked, "Am I not beautiful in the past?" Shinshochi quickly replied, "No, you're beautiful in the past too. But you're even more beautiful today." The answer was good enough. Suyaya was happy in her heart, so she didn't argue with him. Shinshochi brought his clothes to the bathroom to shower. In the meantime, Suyaya used a blow dryer to dry her hair. It was getting late by the time she had finished. Feeling tired and a bit drowsy, Suyaya climbed on the bed and prepared to go to sleep. When Shinshochi came out from the bathroom, he saw Suyaya's butt sticking out as she laid on the bed. Her pajamas were folded up, exposing her white thighs. If it went up any more, she would have exposed herself completely. His eyes darkened and he walked over quickly, patting her butt. Shocked, Suyaya hurriedly turned around and said in surprise, "Why did you hit me? What are you doing then?" Shinshochi raised his eyebrows. She wanted to pretend to be stupid while seducing him. "I was fixing the bed sheet," Suyaya said, feeling wronged. "Who fixes the bed sheet like you?" Shinshochi didn't believe this. Lying on the bed and fixing the bed sheet. Very good. She successfully aroused his interest. "Hey, don't." Suyaya wanted to stop him, but Shinshochi had already pressed her down. The difference in power between men and women was huge. She wasn't his opponent at all. Quickly, she begged for mercy. The whole night, Shinshochi was overly excited. He had her lying down the whole time, not letting her turn around. There was no use in begging for mercy. In the end, she didn't have the energy to even talk. She felt as though she was about to die, but Shinshochi remained unmoved. He held her slender waist with his hands and continued his action. He had her say, "Hubby, you're so handsome," the whole night. The next morning, Suyaya was woken up by Shinshochi touching and rubbing her. The moment she opened her eyes, she recalled their lovemaking session last night. Her face was red from anger and embarrassment. Shinshochi was overstepping his boundaries, as he spared no pains or effort in bullying her. She was just fixing the bed sheet. And yet he claimed that she was seducing him. It's too infuriating. Humph. Suyaya shoved the arm on her waist away and unhappily turned around. Why did she suddenly felt something on her neck? She reached for it and her instinct scared her. She looked down. Oh my God! What a huge diamond necklace! Chapter 39. She never thought of capturing his heart. 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ch 39. She never thought of capturing his heart. 1. Haha. Around her neck was a necklace with a large droplet-shaped diamond in the middle. Surrounding this diamond were layers upon layers of smaller diamonds, which slowly extended and formed a necklace with the two chains. The big jewel hung around Suyaya's neck and seemed to blind people's eyes with its sparkly appearance. Never in her 2 lifetimes had Suyaya ever obtained such a beautiful diamond necklace. Now that she suddenly had a valuable diamond accessory hanging on her neck, she was shocked and ecstatic. She was even worried, it was too valuable. Do you like it? Came Shinshochi's deep and pleasant voice, like the notes played on a violin string. It was also a bit hoarse in the morning. Just like a hook, his voice captivated Suyaya, causing her heart to tremble upon hearing it. I like it. Suyaya turned around and looked up at him lovingly. She was in a very good mood. Although she was bullied a little too much by Shinshochi last night, anyone who received a valuable diamond necklace in the morning will end up being in a beautiful mood. She smiled at Shinshochi and sweetly said, Hubby, you're so nice to me. I love you. Enjoying her admiration and compliments, Shinshochi smiled and looked extremely relaxed. He patted her head as if he was patting a puppy. Suyaya touched the diamond necklace on her neck and held on to it as if she couldn't bear to let go. It emitted a sparkling and bright light, reflecting her smiling face. She laid on Shinshochi's chest and asked in curiosity, Hubby, how much did this necklace cost? When he heard her asking about the price, Shinshochi was stunned. Of course he had gifted his wife with many valuable items in the past, but Suyaya had accepted them without ever asking their prices. What was wrong with her? Why did she suddenly want to ask about the price? Did she become a money grubber? But that didn't seem to be the case either. Back then, whenever he asked if she wanted him to bring home gifts, she would turn down his offer, saying that she had everything she needed and wasn't in need of anything. This time around, he thought the necklace was beautiful, so he decided to buy it for her. Suyaya didn't know that he had bought this necklace beforehand either, so then. Did she just want to know the price because she was curious? He looked towards her in confusion. Speaking of which, she seemed to be different now. She never cooked in the past, but she actually cooked dinner last night. What was surprising was that the dishes tasted pretty good too. In the past, she never looked at the price while buying items. As long as it looked nice, she bought it. That day, although the dress was only $5,880, she even messaged him saying that it was a bit expensive. What was even more strange was that she wanted to stay home in the past, claiming that work was too tiring and that she didn't want to be exhausted. Based on his memory, Suyaya simply wanted to live a relaxing and wealthy life. She wanted to wake up in the morning naturally without time constraints, and her hobby was to go shopping. Yet for some reason, she wanted to work now. Not only did she ask for a second female lead role, she even went to film an advertisement. She was even happy that she had earned 350,000 yuan and had called him afterwards to share the happiness. Suyaya had changed. Did something happen to her? The said person was frightened by his gaze. Suyaya pursed her lips and said, Why are you looking at me like that? Are you okay these days? Nothing happened, right? Shinshochi stared at her. If she didn't look exactly like how she did before with the same familiar body, he would have thought that she was another person. Su Yaya paused and wondered if he noticed something. But what could he find out? Her soul had transmigrated, but it was the same body. It would be peculiar if he found out something was different. At most, he would just think that she had a different personality than the original host. But according to the original host's personality of screwing herself over, she might not be able to support herself until the female lead came back. That was why the current Su Yaya wanted to change her routine, but she couldn't say this to Chinshochi. She needed to find another excuse, one that could convince him. Su Yaya thought about it for a moment and said, "I've been fine these days and nothing happened." "Why are you asking?" Chinshochi observed her and believed that other than her strange actions, there was nothing different about her, so he probably thought too much about it. He reached over to pat her hair and smiled. "I just think that you are acting differently than usual." As expected, she had guessed the same. Su Yaya prepared her excuse. She rubbed against Chinshochi's chest like a little kitten. With a careful tone, she tried to please Chinshochi, "That's because I already married you. I can't be as unruly like before. You're outstanding and I want to be an outstanding person too. That way, I can be a match for you." Chapter 40. She never thought of capturing his heart, too. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ch 40. She never thought of capturing his heart, too, Kidichio. Dear readers, if you want a mass.release of MLSW, please vote on my Patreon's poll below. https://www.patreon.com/posts/331294335. Any man would feel both pleased and proud at Su Yaya's flattering words, and Chinshochi was no exception. Even if the two married by contract, people like Chinshochi wished for their wife to be an outstanding woman who could be a match for them. That way, the man could maintain his good reputation while bringing his wife around with him in public. In the past, Su Yaya could only be Chinshochi's girlfriend at most. This is one of the reasons why he didn't make their marriage public. He was willing to pamper and soothe her only because she pleased him, but if she asked for more, he wouldn't allow it. But now, Su Yaya was willing to change herself for him and become more outstanding. This satisfied his vanity as a man, and he accepted her excuse openly. "If you think it's too tiring, you don't need to work that hard. You can just stay at home and rest like before." Chinshochi patted her back, soothing her. Su Yaya thought, "It's not tiring at all." She needed to use this chance to please him and make their relationship stronger. For her purposes, she needed to work harder for resources and earn more money so that when the time comes for divorce, her life wouldn't be too bad. She could go back to her hometown and plant crops, where she will have a relaxing life with the money she earned. The two thought differently and had different motives, yet no one exposed it. It was like a strange harmonious feeling. "I'm hungry, go make me something." Yesterday night, after Chinshochi ate Su Yaya's food, he discovered that he really enjoyed her cooking. After thinking about it, he decided that he wants to taste her food again. Before this, he was deeply suspicious as to whether or not Su Yaya's cooking was edible or not. Who knew the change came so quickly? That was really a slap on his face. Su Yaya was really happy that Chinshochi had gifted her such a huge diamond necklace. Of course she wouldn't go and offend him right now. What he asks for is what he gets. He wanted to eat, so she quickly tidied up and endured her back pain to cook for him. Su Yaya walked to the kitchen and looked at the ingredients she bought the previous night. There were tomatoes, eggs, pork, eggplants, etc. She decided to make egg and tomato soup, stir-fried lean meat and cold eggplants. Su Yaya scooped a bowl of rice and rinsed it with water before pouring it into the rice cooker. When the water was deeper than the palm of the hand, she switched the rice cooker on. Su Yaya sliced the meat into small parts and prepared the green papers, which she will be using in her stir-fry soon. She then sliced the eggplant in half and placed it in the pot to steam it. Afterwards, she went to prepare the dipping sauce which she will use for later. She also removed the skin of the tomato and beat the eggs in the bowl with her chopsticks, mixing it clockwise until the egg yolk was broken apart. She was almost done in her preparations. Su Yaya was agile in her movements. She finished cooking the 2 dishes and soup quickly, and the rice was done steaming as well. Afterwards, she brought the dishes over to the table and placed 2 pairs of chopsticks on top. Su Yaya also scooped 2 bowls of rice and carried both over to the table. As she did this, Chen Xiuqi happened to be walking down the stairs. She smiled and greeted him, "We can eat now." Chen Xiuqi walked over quickly and complimented her after seeing the dishes on the table. "It looks pretty good. It tastes even better." Su Yaya was confident in her cooking. She picked up the chopstick and handed it to him. "Taste it." Chen Xiuqi accepted the chopsticks and sat down on the spot next to her. He gave the stir-fried lean meat a taste. It was magically delicious. The moment he started to eat, he couldn't stop. In the end, he had 2 bowls of rice and 1 bowl of soup. 2/3 of the food went down his stomach. After eating the meal, Chen Xiuqi patted his round belly and felt regretful. If he continued this way, within a few days, his 6-packs would be gone completely. He needed to go work out some more. What a sorrow. Although he knew that Su Yaya was good at cooking, he would always eat too much if he didn't pay attention. Chen Xiuqi couldn't control himself, as if he was under a spell. If he didn't eat what she cooked, he would miss it. Originally, Chen Xiuqi wanted to restrain himself, but he failed to in the end. Before heading off to the company early this morning, Chen Xiuqi reminded his wife, "Remember to bring me lunch." The minced meat with tofu from yesterday was very good, and the dessert as well. After he finished, he just realized what he said. He told himself he wouldn't eat it. Why did he forget again? Chen Xiuqi couldn't express this in front of Su Yaya, so he walked out the door with a cold face. Su Yaya curled herself up on the sofa and chuckled at this. What was the saying? In order to capture a man's heart, one must capture their appetite first. She never thought of capturing his heart. She knew her place. The male lead was made for the female lead. Su Yaya simply wanted to have a harmonious relationship with him so that when the time comes for divorce, he could think about how good she was and give her more alimony. Heh. Kitty Jiu T/N, Chen Xiuqi, who didn't have the best motives for marrying, has finally met his match. These 2 hypocrites are strangely harmonious, ha ha ha.